Hi, my name is Vivid, and this is going to be my attempt to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald using only terrible Pokemon. But what does that even mean? How do I define a terrible Pokemon? Well, it's not a perfect science, but for this video I will be following the competitive formats from Smogon. Smogon is a website dedicated entirely to competitive Pokemon, and they have each generation of Pokemon broken down into tiers or formats, with the best performing Pokemon being placed in the highest tiers and the worst in the lowest. In the advanced generation, there are 3 tiers in total. OU, which stands for overused, UU, which are Pokemon that are underused, and NU, which are Pokemon that are never used. While these formats don't entirely translate to in-game Nuzlocke viability, I think you'll see that it's at least close. For example, if I ask you to rank Altaria, Beautifly, and Gyarados from the best to worst Nuzlocke Pokemon, your rankings would probably be Gyarados in first, Altaria in second, and Beautifly in third. Conveniently, this is exactly how the 3 Pokemon are tiered on Smogon for the 3rd generation. So this is how I'm defining terrible Pokemon. Now let's quickly break down the rules for the challenge. I can only catch the first Pokemon on a route that's final evolution is an NU Pokémon. I'm not going to let myself count Pokemon that are tiered as never used, but are not fully evolved. So this means things like Graveler and Golbat won't be usable. Why? Yeah, I don't really know. I guess I'm doing this in the name of diversity. If a Pokemon faints, it is a goner and has to be permanently boxed. All battles must be played on the set mode. No items other than held items inside battle. And finally, I cannot level up past the next gym leader or Elite Four member's highest level Pokemon. I'll also be playing with the species clause, so I can't catch Pokemon from the same line more than once. Before we jump in, please consider liking the video if you enjoy these challenges, and also subscribe if you're new here for more Pokemon content. Also, let me know what your favorite quote-unquote bad Pokemon is. Sableye is one of my top 2 favorite Pokemon, and I even used it as my Draft League team mascot. It's considered bad, but I just love its design. With all this out of the way, let's just get right into it and see how this run goes. We start off the same way we would any other Pokemon game by picking our starter, but unfortunately not a single one of the Hoenn starters is usable since they're all ranked UU or higher. I picked Trico because I know I'll probably end up with a lot of grass and bug type Pokemon during this run, so Blaziken should theoretically be the hardest Pokemon to fight against later. After some intro nonsense, we trade in our Trico for our real starter on Route 101, the all-powerful Wurmple. I just want to point out that even if I had run into a Zigzagoon here, I couldn't catch it. Linoone is not an NU Pokemon. I hope that gives you a little more understanding of the power level we're working with here. I named the Wurmple Ron. I'm not going to tell you my theme here, but instead let you guess. You'll probably figure it out, but the only hint I'll give you is I share a birthday with the main character of the franchise, and it's coming up on July 31st. Good luck. I then catch a Wingull on Route 103 and name her Myrtle, and a Poochyena I name Sirius on Route 102. Training is kind of rough for a bit, but eventually I slowly and carefully grind at my Pokemon, and Ron starts to evolve. I'm really hoping for a Cascoon because Dustox is just a much better Pokemon for this type of run, and oh, okay. So we'll have a Beautifly for the first gym, which is a Rock-type gym. Neato. I have to watch in absolute disgust as this annoying kid gets an insanely good Pokemon for his first encounter. I don't know why, but I just really dislike Wally. You better watch yourself, kid. My last viable encounter before the gym is this weird kitten. I catch her and name her Luna. I want to point out that I could have caught an Nincada as my next encounter because even though Ninjask is not an NU Pokemon, Shedinja technically is. But Shedinja feels broken in a run like this. Maybe I'm overestimating how good it is, but it feels like it would offer me a lot of free wins, so I banned it. Had Luna been a male, this gym would have actually been loads easier because it could have attracted each one of Roxanne's Pokemon who are all female and growled them to lower their attack stats into oblivion. But I can't. Pokemon Company, this is 2021. Let my Pokemon use Attract on whoever they want. So going into this fight, I have Myrtle and Ron with Water Gun and Absorb respectively for super effective moves against rock types, and not a lot else going on for me. I should also point out that both of those Pokemon are weak to rock type attacks. This should go great. I grind up to the level cap on the Whismur inside Rust Turf Cave for some special attack EVs, and then I challenge Roxanne. I lead Myrtle, and her first 2 Geodudes are both easy one-hit KOs with Water Gun, but then she sends out Nose Pass. This Pokemon is as bulky as it is ugly, so Water Gun is only a 3-hit KO like 66% of the time, but that doesn't even account for the berry that it's holding or potions that Roxanne will use. I go for a Water Gun, doing around a third of its HP as it hardens. I use Water Gun again, dropping it into the yellow, and it uses Rock Tomb. This should never one-shot me and, oh, well, a critical hit will do it. Time for a new plan. Sorry, Myrtle. I feel like my only option is to use Luna to stall, so I send her in as the Living Nose restores its HP with a berry. I land a Sing and start growling. If I can get the Nose Pass to -6 attack, I think I'll stand a shot here. I get it all the way down, but then I get greedy. I want to put the Nose Pass to sleep again before switching out, but now I'm slower because of a Rock Tomb, so on the turn I click Sing, Nose Pass goes for block. A move I didn't even register until this very moment. Luna's only attacking move is Double Slap, so now that I can't switch out, she's definitely destined to go down. I get in some very minor chip, but eventually Luna falls. This is not an ideal start to this run. I go into serious and manage to dodge crits until I'm able to bite the nose to death. The first badge is mine, but losing 2 of my Pokemon is rough. Myrtle especially hurts since she was my only real water-type Pokemon that I could encounter before the Flannery fight. Rest easy, misfits, I couldn't have done it without you two. I then go save this incompetent employee from Team Aqua and save this old man's bird so he'll sell me around in his boat. After sailing in said boat, we end up in Dewford Town and I pick up the Old Rod, but I can't even use it to get a new Pokemon because both Magikarp and Tentacle, the Pokemon that I can get from fishing here, are banned for this run. I then head into Granite Cave where my singular legal encounter is a Sableye. I catch it and name him Snape. Honestly, I'm super happy about this encounter. Like I said, Sableye is one of my 2 favorite Pokemon ever, and its typing leaves it with 0 weaknesses in this generation, which should come in handy. I grind up for a few more levels to get to the cap, and Sirius evolves into a Mightyena, picking up the Intimidate ability, which is actually super nice for a run like this. Brawly is up next, and this fight is actually pretty easy. A much welcome change of pace from the first gym. Beautifly handles the Machop and the Meditite with stab boosted gusts, and the Makuhita can't even touch Snape, so it's an easy dub in the books. My next encounter comes from Route 110 past Slateport, and I make a mistake here. I can technically get Minun, Gulpin, Oddish, or the extremely rare Plusle, and I definitely ran into an Oddish first, but at the time, I completely forgot Blossom existed. Vileplume is not a legal Pokemon for this run, but Blossom is, so Oddish fits into my rules. I didn't realize this until much later in the run, and I hope we can all just let it slide this once, because I think Oddish would have been a much better encounter than any other Pokemon I could catch on this route for the next gym, so please do one forgive. Now, Minun and Plusle are the singular electric types I can get in this run, and I think they might be valuable later, so hopefully I can get one of... Oh, well, Gulpin was my second choice, I guess? And honestly, this is probably for the best. Mono Poison is a good defensive typing, and Swalot is a solid Pokemon with a diverse move pool. I name her Dolores. The infamous Mayfight is next, and I'm pretty nervous since this fight can often end runs or claim Mons. I lead off with Ron because Cerebi tells me she'll lead Lotad, but Cerebi lies. She leads off with Wingull instead. I guess we're just gonna have to work with what we have. I paralyze the bird with Stun Spore as I dodge a Supersonic, and 2 gusts later, it goes down having only growled at me twice. May then goes into Combuskin, and I decide to stay in and gust it since it will be super effective. It does enough for a 3-hit KO, but Combuskin goes for a focus energy, so fearing a crit Ember, I go into Snape, and the combination of Fake Out plus a few Nightshades takes the KFC bird down. Her last Pokemon is Alombre, so I switch into Dolores, who's already learned Sludge at this level, and she gets to show off here a little bit. The first Sludge poisons, and the second one ends the battle. Pretty good, Gooball, pretty good. Now the next gym is Watson, and this fight looks incredibly hard. Thankfully, we're able to encounter a Roselia on Route 117 and, oh, psych. Roselia has been completely removed from Pokemon Emerald, and I still don't think I can use Oddish at this point. Oops. So I'm forced to catch this ridiculous looking beetle. I really thought I could get a Roselia before this gym, and now I have no more encounters to get and not a single electric resist on my team for the Watson fight. I name the Illumise Molly and get to planning. Molly offers some valuable tools in Encore and Wish for this battle, so I come up with what I think is my best strategy, and we just go in. I lead off with Snape into Watson's Voltorb for Fake Out pressure, and the combination of Fake Out plus 2 Nightshades is enough to take it out, but the Voltorb manages to drop me below half health. Watson sends an Electrike, and I switch into Molly as it howls. I go for Charm, hoping this convinces the AI to keep howling for a bit, and it seems to work. I Quick Attack, and I get hit with Static on the first turn, but my entire team is holding Cherry Berries because Watson loves to paralyze your Pokemon, so we just shrug it off. I alternate between Quick Attacks and Moonlight to stay at a reasonable HP until the Electrike gets a crit Shockwave on the same turn I get paralyzed from Static again. I try to heal on our predicted potion, but I get fully paralyzed as the Electrike goes back to full. I get paralyzed again as the Electrike goes for Howl, and I try one more time and manage to get off the Moonlight as the puppy just keeps howling for some reason. I think those charms really paid off. I click Wish and switch into Sableye knowing I can take 1 Shockwave most of the time, but this pupper just keeps howling. Good. Keep howling, Bubba. I go back up close to full HP from the Wish and use Rock Tomb to lower the Electrike's speed as it howls again. I'm very confused at all this howling, but I'll take it. I outspeed on the next turn and take it out with a Nightshade. Molly levels up after the Electrike goes down, and I learn Encore, which I replace Charm with since Encore will probably be more useful for the rest of this fight. Magneton comes out and immediately tries to paralyze me as I Rock Tomb it to lower its speed. There are so many Cherry Berries right outside Mauville, and I swear this is the reason for it. I go out into Dolores, who also gets Thunderwaved, and eats her berry to cure the paralysis. I yawn the Magneton, then go out into Sirius and set up 2 Howls while the Magnet sleeps, and start Rock Smashing. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that Rock Smash was a 20 base power move in this generation, so even though I'm at +2 attack, they do pretty little damage. The Magneton thunderwaves me twice to get me paralyzed and then lands a supersonic. I only need to break through once to take it out, but Sirius hits himself in confusion twice and then gets taken out by a Stupefy curse, causing him to fall into the Veil of the Afterlife. I mean Shockwave. Sirius goes down to a Shockwave. I send out Snape, who outspeeds and takes out the magnets with a Nightshade, and then it's just Watson's ace left. He sends in his Manectric, and I manage to Rock Tomb it twice so my entire team can outspeed it, while he just sets up Howls. I then go for Thief to steal his Citrus Berry before he falls under half HP and gets to heal from it, as he Thunder Waves me. I will no longer outpace, but from this range, I think one Nightshade might take it out. I take a Shockwave that drops me to right above half health, and instead of attacking, get fully paralyzed. I do the same thing again, hoping for the same Shockwave roll, and we live it, but Nightshade leaves Manectric with a sliver of health. At this point, I have to switch out and back in for Fake Out. So I go into Dolores and take a Shockwave, and now I just have to hope that Manectric goes for Quick Attack here, so I switch back into Snape, and it works. For some reason, the AI really likes to use priority moves when they see a kill from them, even if they already outspeed and another move will do more damage. I lock into Fake Out and hope that I magically break through paralysis, and I do. The Manectric goes down, and that's Watson defeated. Rest in peace, Sirius. You were the goodest boy. I wish I could say that with Watson out of the way, the next gym would be easy, but I would be lying. Flannery is up next, and all of her fire types have Overheat, and she loves to set up Sunny Day, and that combination looks like it absolutely destroys my team. Normally the answer would be to go grab a good water type or maybe a rock type Pokemon, but there isn't a single water or rock type that I can get that is an NU tier Mon aside from Goldeen. I hinted at this earlier by saying losing Myrtle was awful because it was the only real water type I could get before Flannery, and by that I mean Goldeen is a garbage Pokemon. I'm sorry if Goldeen's your favorite, I really am, but this fish is the most flushable Pokemon I have ever had to use. It doesn't evolve into the super mediocre Seaking until level 33, it doesn't learn a water type attacking move until level 38 or 41 if you let it evolve first, and its stats are not good. It gets a little bit better with the physical special split and a lot better in games where you can access its hidden ability, but in this game, it's just an atrocious Pokemon. So anyway, I go all the way back to Petalburg and catch a Goldeen and name him Neville. After a random trainer battle, Dolores evolves into Swalot, which is actually pretty great since she is now a very solid defensive piece, and in the Fiery Path I encounter a Torkoal, which I'm actually surprised is a never used Pokemon, but it is. I catch her and name her Ginny. On Route 113 I actually run into a Slugma instead of a Spinda, and surprisingly I think I would have preferred the Confused Bear here, but this is technically another fire resist so I'll take it. I name her Nymphadora. On Route 114 I find a Seviper and name her Nagini. If you haven't figured out the nickname theme here by now, you either have some summer reading or video watching homework you need to get done. With all of my encounters down, I head into an active volcano to, wait a minute, let me check my notes here. To stop an evil team from trying to force it to erupt, I think? Yeah, that's bleak. Also, I'm literally a child in this game. There's always really big asks of the kids in Pokemon games. After that, it's time for Flannery, and the fight looks like a nightmare, but I've got a plan. Sort of. I decide that Snape, Ginny, Nagini, Dolores, Neville, and Ron will be my brings, so I get them up to the level cap and challenge Flannery. I lead off with Snape as she leads off with Numel, and the combination of Fake Out and a critical hit Feint Attack are enough to drop it. I'm actually really happy about this crit because it delays her setting up Sunny Day. She goes into her own Slug, and not wanting Snape to get burned, I switch into Neville. The Slug actually just goes down to 2 Horn Attacks, but manages to set up Sun and a Light Screen in that time. Flannery goes out into Camerupt, and I hit it with another Horn Attack for about a quarter of its health, but it does about the same to me with a Tackle. I switch into Ginny, who has an insanely good defense stat to sponge the physical hits, and the Volcano Camel tries to attract me, but fails because we're both female. Again, Pokemon, it is 2021. I spam Smokescreen until the camel is at -6 accuracy, then I manage to take it out with a couple of body slams without taking much damage at all. She just has her Torkoal left, and so far this fight has gone a ton better than expected. I try to Smokescreen her Torkoal, but completely forget about its White Smoke ability, which negates stat drops. Oops. I could have just body slammed here. I go for a body slam on the next turn and get the paralysis on my first hit. Nice. It doesn't do much damage, but this turtle having a chance to get fully paralyzed is great for me. Ginny is low, so I switch into Dolores as the Torkoal stays fully paralyzed. I go for Sludge for some small chip, and the Torkoal does what I hope it will do and goes for a Sunny Day. Gotcha. I click Encore on the next turn, forcing the turtle to continue spamming Sunny Day for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure why I switched out here. I think if I had thought it through, even though Dolores isn't doing a ton of damage, I would have been guaranteed to KO the turtle by keeping it permanently locked into Sunny Day. But clearly not thinking it through, I switch into Nagini and start spamming Crunch. Because even though I have taught her Dig, I can't risk being underground when the Encore wears off and then getting hit by a massive overheat on the way up. Eventually, the Fire Tortoise drops to the red and Flannery heals it back up to full. The Encore ends, so I switch into Neville as the Torkoal gets fully paralyzed. I click Horn Attack for some small damage, and Torkoal manages to one-shot with overheat in the sun, and then it eats its White Herb to negate its stat drops from the move. Oh no, Neville, my best Pokemon, how will I ever go on without this little fish? I'm kidding. This is the least sad I've ever been for a loss in one of these games. I go out into Dolores and I'm able to Encore the Torkoal into Body Slam, which lets me go out into Snape and take it out while it is completely unable to retaliate. This fight was tough, but my team of misfits made it through once again with a little bit of luck and some good play. Now thankfully, I only need to fight my dad and then the game really opens up for us. At this point in the game, I can catch a ton of new Pokemon, but I've decided to only touch on the encounters that actually matter for the run. Don't worry, I'll show you all the Pokemon that are in my box before the Elite Four so you can roast me for not using your favorite misfit. There really isn't anything to do between the 4th and 5th gym, so I head straight there. And unfortunately for dear old dad, a lot of his team can't really even touch Snape. So we lead him into Dad's Spinda. It takes a while to actually get the kill because the Spinda just keeps spamming Teeter Dance, but eventually we get it Toxic with Dolores and it falls to the poison after some switching around. I managed to get Vigoroth locked into Slash with Encore, and once again, it's an easy KO for Snape. Norman sends out his Slacking, and this might normally be kind of threatening, but Torkoal learns Protect by level up and has even learned Flamethrower while grinding. So by attacking on the loafing turns and protecting on the attacking turns, I murk the lazy Slothman thing pretty easily. Dad's last Pokemon is a Lanoon, and this Pokemon does not have a single move to touch Snape with, so the little ghoulie boy gets to gobble up another tasty soul. Honestly, easy battle. Try harder next time, Dad. With that out of the way, we unlock the Surf HM and so many more encounters because of this. With Surf, I can now go grab the Good Rod from the guy across the pond on Route 118, and then I head all the way back to Meteor Falls and fish up a Barboach. I catch him and name him Hagrid. This one single Pokemon would have made the entire Watson fight way more bearable since it is the only ground type I have access to for this run. But better late than never, I guess. I then go take care of some chores I couldn't do before getting Surf. I go grab the Ice Beam TM from the abandoned ship, and then I turn off a generator from Watson to unlock the Thunderbolt TM. Both of these TMs are incredibly strong and also super valuable unlocks when you consider the next gym is a flying type gym. On Route 118, I run around for basically infinity time to find a 1% Kecleon encounter that I catch and name Harry. I know I could have gotten a 100% encounter for one of these later, but I needed those routes for other Pokemon. Kecleon might seem pretty innocuous, but it actually has a really solid move pool and a great special defense stat, making it one of the better bulky attackers I can use for this run. I use a Repel to dodge all the encounters on Route 119 because I have a secret plan that requires a pretty rare Pokemon on this route, and I don't want to run into a random Oddish, which I am now aware that I can catch and use. It took me this long in the game to realize I could catch an Oddish. F's in the chat for me on this one. I saved the nerds at the Weather Institute and they thanked me by giving me a Castform, which also happens to be another one of my favorite Pokemon. I am starting to realize that a lot of my favorite Pokemon are garbage Pokemon, I guess. I just love that it changes forms with the weather, and I love how strong its weather balls are because of that. It's a niche Pokemon for sure, and it has pretty lackluster stats, but it's absolutely one of the best boys, and I'm excited that I even get to use it.
I named him Voldemort because while he may look like a cute little cloud boy, don't be deceived. That is the face of pure evil.
I then grind up my team a little bit, and Hagrid evolves into a Wishcash, but by pushing back the evolution until level 31, he actually learns Earthquake at the same time. It's official, Hagrid is a monster now. May rolls up on me as I'm trying to go into Four Tree City for my next badge, so I guess we have to put her in her place before moving forward. She leads Pelipper, who I get low with Strength from Harry, but then I get confused, so I switch into Dolores and finish it off. She sends out Combuskin, so now I decide to try out Hagrid for the first time, and we drown this poor chicken with a Surf in the rain. Lombre comes out, so I go into Nagini and take it out in one hit with the Poison Tail. Since the last time we battled May, we've unlocked so many more pieces to work with, and I don't really foresee her being a problem at all moving forward. I go through Four Tree City to Route 120 and run into a wild Oddish in the grass, which is the only encounter I can get for this area. I catch her and name her Fleur. I don't plan on using her yet, but she's actually a really important part of my in-game plans. Feel free to leave your guesses as to how I'll use her in the comments. I talk to Steven and get some scope that lets me see Pokemon hidden with an invisibility cloak, and now it's time to battle Winona. I decided to swap out Nagini for Voldemort here, mostly because I just want to use a cast form. Winona's team is actually pretty scary, but I have a solid team now, so I'm not super terrified. She leads off with Swablu while I lead off with Voldemort. She uses one of my favorite strategies and goes for a Parasong on turn 1 while I set up Hail. On the next turn, I body bag the Swablu with a Weather Ball, and Winona goes into Skarmory. I could use Sunny Day here and become a fire type, but since I'm on a timer from the Parasong, I just go on to Ginny and we melt the Metal Burb with one flamethrower. Pelipper comes out next, so I switch into Harry, who has a great special defense stat to soak up any water type attacks, but surprise, this flying toilet just goes for supersonic and confuses me. I hit myself in confusion, but then on the next turn, I managed to get off a Thunderbolt, absolutely cooking this Pelican. I decided Harry is actually the perfect Pokemon to teach the Thunderbolt TM I've been gifted to, since it has a great special defense stat which will line up pretty well against water types in the future. Winona switches into Tropheus, so Ginny comes back out as it sets up the sun for me. That is very kind of you, Bubba. I legitimately scorch this Pokemon's entire existence off the face of the earth on the next turn, and all that's left is Altaria. I switch out into Hagrid and eat up a pretty weak Earthquake. I've also decided to use my Ice Beam TM on Hagrid, so on the next turn Altaria Dragon Dances and I Ice Beam it, dropping it to the yellow. It goes for a powered up Earthquake on the next turn, but Altaria is pretty weak, so it drops me a little bit below half, and I make the Altaria very past tense with another Ice Beam. We're 6 badges down, and I'm starting to really like my team. These misfits have come a long way. After beating Winona, I quickly head back to Route 119 and grab the rare Pokemon that I alluded to earlier. Mother f***ing Tropius. Can your Pokemon grow bananas from its neck? Because mine can. I catch him and name him Cedric. What an absolute Chad of a Pokemon. Now I have to do some Evil Team story shenanigans, and I legitimately had to look up where Team Magma's base was. I've never played through Ruby, and I guess I've never beaten Emerald either, because I don't remember this at all. I wreck Maxie, go chase down Team Aqua as they steal a submarine, spend some time collecting shoal salt and shells to convert to a Shell Bell, and now it's time for the Tate and Liza fight in Moss Deep City. This gym is a forced double battle, which can be tricky, but again, I think my team is actually pretty good now, and I have a reasonable strategy for it. I lead off with Voldemort and Hagrid into her Xatu and Claydol, and just go for a Rain Dance and Surf as the Xatu sets up a Calm Mind and the Claydol goes for an Earthquake. In the Gen 3 games, Surf will only hit enemy Pokemon in double battles, so I'm not at risk of damaging my own cast form here. The Earthquake hurts us, but Surf drops Claydol to the yellow, and we snag a crit on the bird, dropping it to the red. I switch Voldemort out for Snape as they heal Xatu up with the Hyper Potion, and the Claydol Earthquakes again, but then drops to a second Surf. Solrock comes out, and Hagrid is pretty low, but I have Fake Out, so I decide to stay in, since if I'm lucky, Hagrid will bait a Solar Beam from the Solrock. I Fake Out the Xatu, flinching it, and just as planned, the Solrock starts sucking in light while I Surf again. Solrock drops to the red, triggering its Citrus Berry, and Xatu falls to low yellow. I have to switch Hagrid out on this turn because Solar Beam will absolutely have me filing for a life insurance claim, so I go out to the new boy Cedric and go for a Shadow Ball on the Xatu. Another Hyper Potion is used on the Xatu, taking it back to full again, and Cedric absolutely swallows the Solar Beam while Shadow Ball drops the Xatu back into the red. Another Hyper Potion heals the Xatu back up to full again, and the Floating Rock sets up Sunny Day, making Cedric the fastest Pokemon on the field with his Chlorophyll ability. Razor Leaf glances off Xatu but drops Solrock to the red, and another Shadow Ball takes the Xatu to the red again. On the next turn, I protect with Cedric since a Flamethrower from Solrock will probably take me out, and Tate and Liza make the horrible mistake of doubling into that slot. You should have learned some VGC strategies before setting your gym up as a double battle. The Solrock drops to a Shadow Ball, and it's just the Burb and Lunatone now. Another hecking Hyper Potion takes the Burb to full health again, but I get off a one-turn Solar Beam on the Moon, which just obliterates it from the sky, and my next Shadow Ball crits the Xatu, finally laying it to rest. I felt pretty in control here, but I can see how this battle could be an absolute nightmare. Nonetheless, we only have one more badge left to go. Next up, we have some more story stuff, but the only tense moment is a battle with Maxie in Aqua's underwater cave place. Harry kind of gets to show off here as he almost single-handedly drops all of Maxie's team, including a pretty intimidating Crobat. The entire world is thrust into chaos, and then this incredible cutscene happens. This is honestly probably the best video game cutscene of 2004. Before moving on, I just have a few thoughts about this conflict that I want to get out really quick. 1. Why am I able to surf right up to these two absolute titans that are battling and be okay? This makes no sense. 2. This is not a real fight. Without their primal forms that they won't get for over a decade, Kyogre just slaps the piss out of Groudon. Look, this boy is just standing on a tiny patch of land while Kyogre has the whole ass ocean. That's what we call an easy GG's. Anyway, I go wake up Rayquaza and they show up and just tell the children to STFU, and now we can fight the 8th gym leader. Before I challenge Juan, it's time to finally bust out the Oddish I caught a while back. I was able to grab the Solar Beam TM in the Safari Zone, the Sunny Day TM from the Scorched Slab, and a Sunstone from Moss Deep City Museum. So I level Fleur up until she learns Moonlight, then evolve her into Gloom, and then immediately evolve her into Bellossom. I teach her Sunny Day and Solar Beam, making her full moveset: Sleep Powder, Sunny Day, Moonlight, and Solar Beam. She is now the absolute bane of a Water-type trainer's existence. Did I mention Juan is a Water-type gym leader? That's convenient. I challenge him and I lead off with Fleur as he sends out a Love Disc. It confuses me on turn 1 with a Sweet Kiss, but I'm holding a Persian Berry, so I heal from the confusion and I get off a Sunny Day. With my speed now doubled thanks to the Chlorophyll ability, I outpace and destroy his next 3 Pokemon. The Kingdra can actually live 1 Sunny Beam and goes for a double team, but I land a second Solar Beam on the next turn and take it out. Wishcash comes out and gets up 2 Amnesia boosts while I put it to sleep, set up the Sun, and then proceed to still one-hit KO it even through those +4 special defense boosts. Juan sends out a Crawdon as his last Pokemon, and I once again convert the Sunlight into a massive destructive beam that one-shots his Pokemon. I tell Juan GG's, but in that really smug way you do when you just absolutely rolled your opponent and there was a 0.2% chance that they also had fun. I mean, dude just got soloed by a dancing plant. That cannot feel great. You tried, buddy. You really tried. And with that, it's Pokemon League time, baby. I mean, we have to whoop Wally's ass in Victory Road, and then I have to look up a guide on how to get out of this cave, but after that, it's Pokemon League time. I decide my final team will be Cedric, Fleur, Harry, Snape, Hagrid, and Voldemort. The cast form is kind of a flex slot here and probably isn't very optimal, but like I said, I love cast form, and my current Elite Four plan doesn't really need any of my other Pokemon. Cast form also just gives me a versatile attacker, so it checks out in my book. As mentioned earlier, I stopped covering all my random encounters a while back that didn't really contribute to the run, but here's a look at what's in my PC. Notable Pokemon that could have been useful here are Torkoal, Mawile, Relicanth, Swalot, and maybe Wailord? I don't know. If you think I made a mistake with the team I picked, please feel free to roast me. A comment is a comment after all. I run some final errands like buying and picking up some of the last TMs I'll need, converting money into TMs at the game corner, teaching some of my Pokemon different move tutor moves to hammer out final movesets, and then EV training my Pokemon while getting them to high level 55, which is the level of Drake's strongest Pokemon. And then we finally enter the Pokemon League. The first Elite Four member is Sydney, who is kind of known for having a pretty weak team. I lead off with Fleur into Sydney's Mightyena and go for Sunny Day as he sand attacks. Fleur doesn't have time to miss though, and she bodies both his Mightyena and Absol with Solar Beams. Sydney goes into Shiftry, so I send in Harry, who has learned Fury Cutter from a move tutor. It's a super niche move, but it's actually really good versus Sydney if you manage to keep landing it. This seemed like a great plan until the Shiftry confuses me with Swagger and then uses Double Team to become evasive. I get it low, but on the turn I would knock it out, I miss. So I switch into Fleur to set up the Sun and then go into Cedric, who knows Aerial Ace, to completely ignore evasion strategies. I thought the Sunny Day would let me outspeed, but I blanked on Shiftry also having Chlorophyll. It still helps with Synthesis recovery though, so not a complete waste. Cedric manages to two-shot the Shiftry while dodging a Swagger and taking very little from an extra sensory. Then we manage to do essentially the same thing to the Cacturn. Sydney's last Pokemon is a Crawdon, and a lucky critical hit Razor Leaf takes it out in one shot, and that's Sydney down. I thought the Kecleon strategy would be cute here, but really, I think Cedric could have just swept this entire team on his own. Next up is Phoebe, who uses Ghost types. Her team is actually pretty strong, but I teach Shadow Ball to Harry, getting rid of Fury Cutter, put him at the front of my party, and then challenge her. Most of her Pokemon can't do significant damage to Harry because of his normal typing and great special defense stat. So on the first turn, I set up a substitute while her Dusclops goes for Protect. I'm not sure why it always protects on the first turn, but from every other Pokemon Emerald challenge I've seen, it does. After this, I spam Shadow Balls and Ice Beams from behind my substitute while getting HP back on each turn thanks to my Shell Bell. 3 of her Pokemon go down before my sub finally breaks to her second Banette's Facade. I take it out on the following turn, and then I have an interesting fight against her last Dusclops, where it turns me into a Ground type with Earthquake, and then into a Ghost type with Shadow Ball since it can now hit me with Ghost moves. But in doing so, it gave me a stab boost on my own Shadow Ball, letting me take it out cleanly. Harry just soloed an entire Elite Four member with just the help of a Patronus Charm. I mean substitute. I don't ever want to hear Kecleon slander again. Glacie is the third Elite Four member and uses all Ice types. Thankfully, 3 of her Ice types are also part Water, so I'm sure you can kinda guess where this is going. I lead off with Fleur into her Celio, and I miss a Sleep Powder on turn 1 while it uses Hail. I land my next Sleep Powder, then I set up a Sunny Day, and then obliterate her first seal. For reasons unknown to me, instead of doing anything logical like going into one of her Glalie, Glacia sends out her second Celio, which gets one shot, and then her Walrein, which also gets one shot. She finally goes into a Glalie, so I switch in Snape. I have a neato strategy plan for him, and I think this might be the only time I get to pull it off. I eat an Icy Wind and then use Calm Mind as Glalie goes for an Ice Beam. Then on the next turn, I should be slightly out of range for another Ice Beam and click Rest, but the Glalie just goes for a Light Screen. From here on out, it's just a matter of alternating between resting and using Sleep Talk to stack up Calm Mind boosts or get in damage with Feint Attack. Snape manages to take out the last two Glalies with this strategy, and honestly, I'm glad I got to do that because I love rest sleep talk strategies, and it's not often you actually get a chance to pull them off in a Nuzlocke. As a side note, Sablei's moveset going into the Elite Four was the one I had the hardest time nailing down, but I'm glad I settled on this one. Sometimes it's just important to have fun. My penultimate challenge for this run is Drake, and as is typical for early Pokemon games, we could not have a Pokemon League challenge without at least one trainer specializing in dragon types. So for this challenge, that's Drake. You know why it's Drake? It's because his name is Drake, and Drake is like another word for dragon or something. You know, it's like a lore thing. Very clever Pokemon, very clever. His team is actually terrifying, and I will need some tight play to get through him without any loss. I decide on equipping Hagrid with Nevermelt Ice to boost Ice Beam's power, and then I lead him and challenge Drake. He leads with the Shelgon, who like Phoebe's Dusclops, will always protect on turn 1, so I get to set up a substitute with Hagrid, and on the second turn, I go for an Earthquake. It does a good amount of damage, but shouldn't trigger a potion, and Drake just goes for a Rock Tomb? I'm not sure if the AI is trying to lower my speed here, but Rock Tomb won't even begin to touch the substitute. I drop the Shelgon on the next turn with an Ice Beam, and Drake sends out his Altaria. Again, instead of doing the reasonable thing and trying to break through my substitute, the Altaria goes for 2 Dragon Dances in a row, letting me take it out with Ice Beams. Kingdra comes out next, and once again, it just starts spamming Dragon Dance, letting me get it low with Earthquakes. It finally breaks my sub with a Surf, but it goes down on the same turn to a third Earthquake. I'm really confused by your strategies, man. Flygon is sent out next, and it should always go for Earthquake here since that's the most damage it can do, and I should always take at least 3 Earthquakes for my current HP. So I lock into Ice Beam, and we take a soft hit, but then absolutely deaded the Flygon. I send my condolences, Drake. Your entire team is being wiped by this silly looking fish, and that cannot feel good. Drake sends out his Salamence, and at over 50% health, I should always live any single hit, so I lock into Ice Beam and just barely miss out on the Oko, letting the Mints eat its Citrus Berry, getting back some health. I'm unsure in this spot if Drake will heal the Salamence or not, and I don't want to risk Hagrid, so I switch into Fleur as Drake uses a full restore. I can always live one Flamethrower here, so I stay in and put the dragon to sleep with Sleep Powder. I switch into Harry and set up a sub, then use Ice Beam, all while the dragon stays asleep. One more Ice Beam, and I've beaten the Elite Four. One final challenge stands in my way of winning this run with my team of Misfits, so I heal up, put Fleur in front, and challenge Wallace. He leads a Wailord who likes to set up Rain Dance on turn 1, so I click Sleep Powder, and in typical fashion, I miss. I outsped the whale, so I stay in and click it again, and it lands. I then set up Sunny Day and go for a Solar Beam, which turns me into an illegal whale poacher in just one turn. Wallace sends out his ace, Milotic, and I click Sunburst Beam again. We drop the fish to the red and take a pretty hard-hitting Ice Beam, but it eats a Citrus Berry at the end of the turn, which I think will get it out of its full restore range. So we go for Solar Beam again and take it out. Tentacruel is sent out, and knowing that its high special defense and poison typing mean that Solar Beam will never kill, I go into Hagrid. I take a pretty soft Sludge Bomb that poisons me, and then I KO on the following turn with an Earthquake. Wallace sends out the part Grass-type Ludicolo, so I absolutely have to switch. It starts going for double teams, but honestly, this is the biggest reason that I brought Cedric to the Pokemon League. Ludicolo doesn't have a single move that hits me hard, and Aerial Ace means I will never miss thanks to the evasion boosts. So we take out the Sombrero Duck pretty easily here. Wallace sends out his own Wishcash, and a couple of Razor Leafs just take it down. His last Pokemon is a Gyarados, and honestly, this is the single most threatening Pokemon to my team. I switch into Snape as it Dragon Dances, and then I set up a Calm Mind. An Earthquake takes me to right above 50%, and on the next turn, I get off a pretty mild Feint Attack as it Dragon Dances again. This is not great. I switch into Cedric hoping he will Earthquake again, and he does, but now I'm at risk of going down to a Hyper Beam. This is the part of the fight where I inevitably started panicking. I honestly should have just picked a sack to Hyper Beam here, or kept switching between Harry and Cedric to PP stall, but in the moment I was getting tilted thinking that I could wipe, and I started making plays that were not great. I backed myself into a corner here where I had to sacrifice Hagrid to get a safe switch into Cedric, and then I had to sacrifice Cedric to a Hyper Beam to get a safe switch into Harry. Honestly, thanks for everything, you two. You were both super important, and you really didn't need to die here. With Harry in, I click Thunderbolt on the Gyarados' recharge turn and take it down. I really have to get better at not tilting off in the moment. Yes, I won the run, but I'm almost positive looking back on this fight that I did it in the sloppiest way possible. I'm mostly just bummed because Cedric and Hagrid didn't have to die here. If I had just stalled out Hyper Beam and Earthquake PP, either Cedric or Fleur could have won cleanly. Still, our team of misfits came out on top and we beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Emerald with only quote-unquote terrible Pokemon. This run was an absolute pleasure. I got to use so many Pokemon that I think often get overlooked, and I really got to make them shine. Fleur got to solo the 8th gym and absolutely picked apart several Elite Four members' teams. Harry soloed an entire Elite Four members' team. Hagrid almost single-handedly beat all of Drake's team. Cedric was so good so many times in this run. Even some of the Pokemon that didn't make the final team, like Ginny the Torkoal, put in so much work during this run. I honestly loved this, and I would be super into doing this in other generations, so let me know if that's something you'd like to see. As always, feel free to leave me any criticisms, suggest future challenges, or just talk about the run in the comments down below. I personally would love to know who your favorite team member of mine was throughout the run. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing if you haven't already. Also, following me on Twitter or joining my Discord are both great ways to keep up with new releases and places to interact with me. Both will be linked in the description down below. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Vivid, and I'm kind of done here, so I have to leave. Okay, bye.